when the behavior of the program should change depending on the circumstances, we have to have circumstances that change, and that usually means changing variables. Therefore, I've chosen this example where I can click the green ball to get points or the orange square to lose them. And it's from the Outputting Numbers lesson, and there's a link in the upper right corner. So this code has two functions, one for clicking the ball and one for clicking the square. But for starters, I'm going to ignore them and just add some code here in the start function. And let's say I have two console log lines, console log. This always runs, and another one, console log. This only runs under certain conditions. If I run this, then both lines are run, but I want this one to only run under certain conditions. If this and that, then run this bit of code. And in JavaScript, we write that as if, and then a set of parentheses, and in those parentheses we put our condition. Usually it's a question, and a question that has a very, very clear yes or no, or as they are known in programming languages, true or false. So I'll write something that will always be true. I'm asking, is 2 less than 5? This is my condition. Then I have to put the code that should run when this condition is true inside a set of curly braces, like this. And then I need to move this line into those, like this. And that means that if this condition is true, if the answer to this question is yes, then and only then do we run this code. And right now, if I save, it says this code only runs under certain conditions because 2 is always less than 5. And this is kind of a silly question because it will always be true, and it also gives us a ESLint warning saying unexpected constant condition, because this will never change. But bear with me for a moment. Because if we, on the other hand, ask if 2 is greater than 5, this is not true. So this line would no longer run. And it doesn't. It simply skips it. And we can see that if we add a third line here, console log skips directly to the third line. It skips directly to this one. By the way, it would also carry that one out if we did run this under certain conditions. This will be in the next video how we can avoid this. But this will make more sense when we have variables. So let's go here in our clickball and say, okay, if we have 10 points, we only want to ask if our points are more, if we have more than 10 points, then we win the game. Let's say that, console log, you have more than 10 points. Console log, and win the game. So this should give us, when we click here, we have 1 point, 2 point, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now, once we have 11, then we have more than 10 points. And we have won the game. This condition here, points greater than 10, only becomes true when we have more than 10 points. But say we want to win the game when we reach exactly 10 points. So we would ask if points equal to 10 and see what happens here. We get a warning, and also it says here I have more than 10 points, because this also is a constant condition. And that's because if we remember with our variables up here, when we say points equal to something, we set points equal to 0. And here we set points equal to 10. And we can actually ask, how many points do we have? We have 10 points. And it also said here, you have 10 points. Even though here in line 32, it wrote you have 1 point. But then we set it to 10. And that is, for some very odd reason, legal to do inside an if statement, and it won't work. What we need to do is we want to ask if there's 10 points. So that is done by having two equal signs. And you can say that the first one is this equal to 10? And then it works. We have 1 point, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 points. You have, okay, the text still says you have more than 10 points. It should say you have exactly 10 points and win the game. So this is how you test if something is equal to, by having two equal signs. You could also say, if you want it to be different, if you wanted to say if it's not equal to 10, and say console log, you don't yet have 10 points. You don't have 10 points. And then we would say, okay, you don't have 10 points. So here you would ask if points is unequal to 10. And this symbol here for unequal doesn't really exist on most keyboards. So instead you write an exclamation mark and an equal sign. We could say it kind of looks like there's at least we have one vertical bar and an equal sign. So you get the drift. And also it has been decided that this means not equal to. So when we have two equal signs, we say, is it equal to? And when we have an exclamation mark and an equal sign, is not equal to. I'm missing a semicolon. You don't have 10 points. You don't have 10 points. Don't have 10 points. Certainly do not. And I still don't. But now I have 10 points. So this line is not run. And when I get 11, it is run again. So to recap, the structure of an if statement is we have the if word and then a set of parentheses, and inside those we have the condition. Usually a comparison where we compare some variable to a number or maybe even to another variable. And then we have the curly brackets that contains the code that should be run if this condition is true. So see how this looks a lot like a function, where instead of function it says if and then parentheses and then all the code inside these curly brackets. And you can actually also create variables and have other stuff happening in here that would behave exactly as in a function, and any variable created inside an if won't exist outside. But the comparisons are these. We could test if something is equal to. Remember, two equal signs tests if it is equal to. Having just one sets it equal to, and we don't want to do that in an if statement. We can ask if something is not equal to by the exclamation point and equal to. We can ask if it's less than or greater than, or even combine them, so that if we want to test if it's less than or equal to something, we just write both less than and equal and one equal sign. And if we want to test if it's greater than or equal to, we write greater than and an equal sign. Remember the order of first the greater or less than and then the equal sign. If you swap them around, it won't work. It would mean something else. But that's basically what there is to say about if, but it also has a very close friend in else, and we're going to cover that in the next lesson.